Okay. All right. So we'll start over here with our Google group. All right, guys. Who's talking over here? All right.
The first one, well, Google went to China and they just failed horribly, and they got kind of kicked out. And then they went back the second time. They went through like a local Chinese like search engine, like another company, so they could like kind of be allowed to go back in, but it's not actually like really Google. It's like that local Chinese company. And the challenges they experienced was the government, because China's so like strict on what you can search, and it's very like censored and all that. It's really tough to get through the government. The result of the challenges, like obviously the first time they failed and they like get out of China, and they eventually went back and worked through like a local Chinese company so they could actually like work with the government and do all that. And I don't know how the challenge really be avoided. I mean, I think if they, before going in, they probably could have figured out about the government being as censored and strict as it is. But I think because they were Google, they thought they could probably walk in there because I mean, it's Google. And the company structure, how did the company structure the move into the global environment? Well, the first one was direct involvement. What they tried to do, they tried to go in, start like their company and just do what they need to do. And obviously the people and the government weren't happy about that because they want to restrict people with what they looked up and all that. And the second time is they did strategic partnership. And that's the only way they could actually get even any use in China, going through a local Chinese search engine, so that they can actually work with the censorship and like make sure the government's happy and people are happy, and that they can just get a little involvement in the country.
Yeah, I would concur that the first time around, they just thought they were Google, right?
Yeah.
And Google certainly has, like most companies, has a definite attitude. Okay, they are Google, and they're proud of what they've done. Okay. Well, the problem is when you start entering some of these other markets, okay, especially China. China's not about free speech. It's not about being able to search anything you want to at any given time, which is what Google's mission statement is. Okay, provide information to the entire world at a moment's notice. Okay, paraphrase. But so when you're looking at that, Google just thought they could apply that right to China, and obviously they found out really quickly they can't. Okay, China was not going to give in at all on their censorship. Okay. So what can you search there? Not a whole lot. Okay. Definitely nothing on outside politics, nothing on inside politics, nothing at all outside of some basic knowledge questions is about all you're going to get out of a search engine in China. Very, very limited. And there's not a lot of communication in or out as well, as far as email goes. And every email is read and filtered by the government there. So again, another part of Google's business that they thought they could just waltz in there with Gmail and be able to conquer it, and definitely would not. So partnering, they were able to bypass a lot of that by providing that company with a good infrastructure, because they had the software. Okay, they always had the software, but they couldn't really get in. They had to actually go with, very similar to Disney, they had to actually go into business with a Chinese company in order to meet those Chinese standards. Okay, so we're going to flip to the other side of the room. Yeah, let's go over to Subway.
One of the difficulties were the fact that in UAE, their culture is different from us. So like they don't eat meat. Well, they eat meat, but they don't eat like pork. So they got to switch the whole menu over and change different things. There's a lot of cheese on the sandwiches instead of like they don't even have bacon.
Yeah, definitely no bacon. The other thing with that is, we have like they have like one veggie option, right? The veggie fillet or whatever the Subway one is. Okay, over there's probably 6 of them. Okay, of different kinds of things that are vegetarian. Yeah, definitely no pork though. No bacon, no ham, no salami, no cured meats, none of that type of stuff. What else do you guys get?
The results So the challenges was basically they just had to change their whole and the challenges couldn't be avoided because that's their culture and they're trying to bring their company to another country. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, the other thing with Subway and the UAE, from a cultural religious perspective, Islam in that area of the world does not favor women, okay, at all. And if they do, they're still they're super restrictive on head coverings. You have to cover your entire head. You can't wear any Western wear. It has to be long garb, okay, long dresses. On some of those countries in that world, UAE is one of the ones that's been a little more progressive and allowed them to at least work. Okay. Some of the others, Saudi Arabia, it's still very tough for a woman to be able to work. Okay. It is a male-dominated society. Okay. And a lot of our rules and our being a U.S. company is very difficult, right? What do we have to abide by here? Equality, right? Okay. Lots of labor laws. Over there, all the labor laws don't apply to women. Okay. So that's another cultural difference that they had to address as they were going over there. That's why franchise works well in that instance. Okay. Because you can adapt a franchise agreement. You can adapt menus that are in a franchise agreement. You can adapt the way you do business in that franchise agreement to be able to move into another country. Okay. Because most of that is law. You can't change that. Okay. Can you work on social change maybe a little bit? Maybe. But that's going to be really, really tough to do in that environment. I use that example a lot when I teach ethics as well, because that's always a great one to talk about, because our view in this country is completely different from what their view is. Okay. Which one is right or wrong? We have the class, we have a great discussion on what's right or wrong. Okay. And what that is. All right, so let's go to our group there with IKEA coming here.
Yes, IKEA has some challenges because they said they thought we could just use the same products from Sweden and put them into America, but the products didn't fit the American lifestyle, so then they were being sold as much, and they were complaining about them not being big enough. The result was they changed their business model and their products to fit the American market and use specifications that the U.S. uses, not the metric system. The challenges could have been avoided if IKEA just did some prior research to move it in on the U.S. market, and that's different from the Swedish market. And the company structure, they just use direct involvement. And eventually, they just put the Americans in charge of the American market so that they can do better in the U.S. market.
Yeah, the IKEA, well, when you're looking at that area of the world, everything's very compact. Okay. About the size of your college dorm room is what most people live in that room. Okay. So it's very small. Europe is very contained. In real estate is very pricey over there. So IKEA's market over there was small, modular, built it all together. Okay, but all very compact and tight, designed for these very tight living quarters. Okay, coming over here, what do you think we thought about that small stuff? Do you think it was really accepted in the American market? No, right? What do we look there for a lot? Bigger stuff, right? We want to cover a lot of real estate with what we've got. Okay, so that modular thing, they had to adjust or scale their products up a little bit more to be appealing to the American public. They could have easily avoided that just by doing a little more research up front before they came into the market. Again, doing your homework into a country that you want to adapt into is extremely important. Our last group.
Okay, so we had Starbucks moving into India. They originally had a false start in 2007 because the Foreign Investment Promotion Board rejected their application because they exceeded the 51% foreign direct investment limit. So they invested too much, so they were rejected and couldn't enter the market over it. They re-entered the market in 2012 with a joint 50-50 split venture with TA's Global Beverage. And through this, they saw some challenges because first off, India is mostly a tea drinking company, whereas Starbucks is mostly supplies coffee. And coffee is seen as a luxury over in India. And India's market is more price sensitive because their incomes are a bit lower than the United States incomes. So to counter this, they lowered their prices first off on their menu, and then they introduced the Teavana brand of tea through Starbucks to cater to the Indian market because they are mostly a tea drinking company. Their challenges, they couldn't really be avoided because of the culture there, which is more tea drinking and their incomes are lower, but they did cater to the challenges to make the most out of their venture into the country.
Yeah. Great response there. My only disagreement is they could have actually avoided it. Okay, they could have avoided those challenges. They would have had them, but they could have addressed them before they went to the market. They basically, again, it's the case of Google. Okay, they thought for Starbucks. Well, yeah, and we know what they do in the U.S. But they want to plop one down in the corner. They're going to plop one down in the corner. Okay, they do that in Europe too. It's very popular in Europe. Okay, again, they can do what they do in the U.S. But going into India, okay, the government favors local investment. Okay, it favors local businesses. So Starbucks going into this country and decided they're going to plop down on a street corner like they did in Europe or they did in the U.S. didn't work. Okay, they could have actually done that research beforehand and really thought a little bit more about it, and then went into that partnership with Tata, which is on that company Tata is a super giant. It would be the Walmart of India. Okay, is really what it is. So by partnering with them, they were able to, it's a huge conglomerate. Actually, it's even bigger than Walmart. And if it was comparison, because they actually have their own hotels and they have not only do they have a grocer and a streamlined goods market, but they also have hotels. So they actually went in and put them into they put them in their supermarkets, they put them in their hotels and resorts and things like that. A lot of where the tourist areas were, be able to address that need. But then they also what they did is they also flipped their menu in those other areas over time and added in, in India now, their menu is about 75% tea, 25% coffee. Okay, whereas in the U.S. it's probably more like 15% tea, okay, and 85% coffee. The other thing is the frozen drinks and stuff don't work over there. Okay, the high caffeine doesn't work over there like it does in the U.S. and Europe. Okay, so there's a couple of those things where we can make those changes and really do that. Could they have avoided? Yeah, they couldn't have missed it. The challenges still would have been there, but they could have addressed them quicker. It cost them a lot of money to learn that mistake. Okay, and that's really what all of these challenges are. Okay, whether you're talking Google, or you're talking Starbucks, or even IKEA, just picture the amount of money that it cost them to do this. Okay, to make these mistakes and not address these challenges going in. Okay, all right, guys. Well, hope everybody has a good weekend. Let's put these desktops in a row, guys. We got them. Okay. We found them. See everybody on Monday.